Guys, how you going? It's Josh Lloyd. We've got a pregame show. We've got 5 games on today. Let's go through... we'll go through it in a second. Just welcome everyone in. Just got some news. Just popped through. Danielle House is out. The Heater listing, everyone injured, of course. Jalen Suggs out tomorrow. Gary Harris out tomorrow. Jimmy Butler out tomorrow. Oh, okay. Butler out tomorrow. Thibault is starting in place of Melton, not Shake Milton. So Thibault is starting for the Sixers. Jimmy Butler out. Wow. Suggs out. Harris out. He's a disaster, Jimmy Butler. Jesus Christ. So are the Heat, actually. And they're listing everyone else as probable as per usual. Welcome, everyone. Good to have you guys here. That news literally just hit. All right. Let's talk some stuff. What should we talk about? I did a buy low, sell high show. You can go watch that. The streaming show for tomorrow is going to come straight after this. So stick around and watch that straight after here. It's gonna have some out of date info on it because that injury report just dropped for the Heat. So I'm not going to talk about Butler, but the show is recorded. It's ready to go. That'll come after that. It just took forever to process, so I couldn't drop it earlier. That's what happens with YouTube sometimes. Okay. Let's go do dribble game now. Get into that. Where is my dribble game page? There it is. All right, let's refresh that. Aaron Gordon to Tyler Hero. Dwayne Dedman. God, that wasn't hard. Come on, guys. What are we doing here? Let's go to the lineups. See where we sit. We've got a couple of lineups confirmed. Sixers are starting Harden, Thibault, Harris, Tucker, Embiid. And the Warriors are starting Curry, Poole, Thompson, Green, Looney. Remembering the Warriors have a back-to-back. So Clay is probably out tomorrow. Steph and Draymond, I don't know. Chris Middleton is playing. Conley, Clarkson, and Markkanen are playing. Herb Jones is probable. De'Aaron Fox is playing. Whether he plays tomorrow, don't know yet. Anthony Davis, and LeBron James are both still probable. What other injury news do we have that I'm going to tell you about for today's games at least? D'Anthony Melton is out. Drew Holiday is out today. Illness. Devin Booker is out. Brandon Ingram is out. Colin Sexton is out. Al Horford and Robert Williams are both out for the Celtics as well. And there you go. That's our injury update. So statuses we're waiting on. Well, Danielle House has been ruled out, so we know that one. I was going to say we're waiting on that. It's Davis and James, who are both probable. They should be fine. When you're probable, you basically play every time. And the other one is Herb Jones. That's it. They're the 3 statuses. Herb Jones, Anthony Davis, LeBron James are all probable for today. So they should all be ready to go and playing. That's great. Okay. What do you guys think about the new NBA awards? The new names for the awards, the new trophies for the awards? I don't know. Everything when it's new is going to be jarring. The trophies, I don't particularly like the look of them. But, you will get used to them. The names, I don't really care that much. Oh, it shouldn't have been Hakeem. Kareem's got more MVPs than Jordan. I don't actually care that much about it. What I don't know if confused is the right word. The Clutch Player of the Year award, which they've introduced, the Jerry West Clutch Player of the Year award. What does it mean? I know a lot of the other awards don't have criteria. Sixth Man of the Year, apparently the criteria is who scores the most points coming off the bench. MVPs, no real criteria. Who's the most valuable player? Use whatever criteria you want. Defensive Player of the Year, who's the best defender? But again, and you don't really expect or no criteria for that. What does Clutch Player of the Year award mean? What does it mean? What is a clutch player? Do you have to have hit the most game winners? What if you hit 5 game winners, but you miss 30? Does that make you clutch? Because you hit more than anybody else, but you missed more than everybody else? Is it best field goal percentage in the last 5 minutes of a clutch situation? Is it clutch defense? I have no idea. What they're going to do is they're going to give it to the high profile player who hits the most game winners. That's what's going to end up happening. That's how they'll give the award. Like AJ Griffin's hit 2 game winners. There's no way he's going to be in the discussion for best clutch player. It's going to be high profile player who hits the most game winners. I am pretty certain that's what it will be. What do you guys think? How do you think they're going to do that? What's the participation trophy, Augusto? Where is the participation trophy? People love saying this, and it just isn't true. Like, what are you talking about? Why isn't Milton starting? Because Milton and Harden's skill set is pretty replicable. When Milton plays, right, he is in there because of just pure shot creation ability. And I don't really need that with Harden and Harrison and Embiid around. And he's not good enough, like Tyrese Maxey is, to demand that role. His best role is being a shot creator off the bench, having a low usage player like Matisse Thybulle, even though he's horrible offensively. I think it makes a little bit of sense to provide some defensive cover. Milton's value was creating his own shot and being a go-to sort of scorer, which is literally, he'd be the fourth offensive option in that starting group, and I don't really think that's necessary. It's like hockey, you like it. What, the naming of it? Yeah, I've got no problem with the naming of awards. I think that's totally fine. Hockey has those names on the awards. It's going to take a bit of time, yeah. The hockey ones, they're just known by that. You won the Ross Trophy, the Hart Trophy, the Vezina, the Norris. You go, well, what do they actually mean? Now it's just like, you won the Defensive Player of the Year. Who's that again? Oh, it's the Elijah one. It's going to take a long time for that to get ingrained where you're the Jordan Trophy winner, or you're the Mikan Trophy winner, or the Chamberlain. It'll probably just be called the Wilt. But I don't think it'll ever get to that stage in the NBA. But I do like that. Okay. Is Josh Hart in danger of minutes for the return of Payton? I don't think so. I don't think so. They don't play the same position. I think, Payton, I guess Payton plays a little bit of forward offensively because of his inability to shoot. I think Josh Hart's significantly better than Gary Payton. Gary Payton's still a long way away. I don't think there's much danger. No. Thoughts on the A-League Grand Final announcement? Stupid, Benji, but I do believe they are going to go back on that. Melbourne Victory put out a statement yesterday, I think, saying this is stupid. And the understanding I get from A-League people is that they're going to reverse this decision. I don't know, though. I think they will. It's a shit decision. I think they'll reverse it, though. Hang on a second. What the Kings have just put out a lineup with Davion Mitchell starting. Keep an eye on this. I think it's an error from last game. They've submitted the wrong report, but they've put through a report with Davion Mitchell starting and no Fox. I think it's an error, but we need to watch that. Just be aware of that. You get what I'm saying about clutch, but they don't mathematically. Yeah, they don't either. But what actually is clutch though? I don't think there's going to be any mathematical criteria for it. But how do you define this? This is like the most vibes award of all time, a clutch award. You're right. There is no mathematical situation for most valuable. But again, I fear that they will default to a highlight like they do with six man, who scores more points for this award. That's how I feel that the media will do that. Is Herb Jones a pickup? Look, I don't believe Herb Jones is a must-roster player. I think he's a solid steals streamer, but he lacks in a lot of other categories. So if you need steals, then sure, he can do that. But I think with the emergence of Alvarado, the emergence of Marshall, the emergence of Murphy, that Jones isn't going to push to 33 minutes a night most nights, it would be my guess. I think he's a steals option for sure, and that has value. But is he a guy you have to rush out to grab? That's going to depend individually on your team. Should you drop sticks for Nembhard? Yeah, I wouldn't be holding on to Jalen Smith at all. At all. What else have we got? Am I worried about Porzingis' back tightness? Not really, no. Is Walker Kessler a hold with Markkanen back? Yes. Because we want to see, like, if he played, because he's played like 22, 23 minutes, and he was playing that with Markkanen in. If he still gets 22 a night off the bench, then that's 12-team value. They do measure clutch points, you're right, but there's not going to be a criteria for that award where people say it's who scores the most clutch points. It won't be that. And again, is that, like, I don't know. It's pretty weird. Dame will finally get an award. Dame hasn't... The Raptors have had the Blazers have had a bunch of game-winning shots, and Dame's hit none of them. Didn't Hart hit one and Simons hit one? Someone else might have hit one. Dame's hit none of them, which is weird. Who would I bet finishes higher, Dame or Shea? Shea. Will Royce be must roster when he returns? Yes, I think so. Like, you got to deal with a bad field goal percentage, but I don't know that his minutes are going to drop, and there's a massive chance for his field goal percentage to rise, which actually could increase his value. So I think probably yes. Is Murphy a hold when Ingram and Hurd return? Yes. I would like to hold him to see what happens when Ingram and Hurd returns. He wouldn't be an auto drop for me. Like someone like Shake Milton when Harden returned was pretty much an auto drop. Like you maybe want to see, but he was pretty much an auto drop. With Murphy, there's still an ability for him to get 27 a night coming off the bench, even with those two guys back. So we want to see. We want to see how he gets utilized and how the minutes all play out when those guys come back. So even if it's one game and he actually stinks in that game and they play him 20 minutes because they're giving Najee Marshall 20 minutes, then you go, all right, we saw what happened and we moved on. But I think we want to see how that works. Is Alexander Walker a stream today? No, I don't think so because you've got Conley, Markkanen, and Clarkson all back. So he's just not going to have enough value. Now, you've only got 5 games on, so I guess there's some value there, but I highly doubt he's going to do what he did last game. What do you think is the reasoning for the Hornets not giving injury updates? Is it supposed to be strategic? I don't know. These teams that do this, they're almost invariably the bad teams, which should tell them that it doesn't actually help them in giving strategic advantages. The excuse they'll give was that we don't want to put undue pressure on our players by giving timelines they feel pressured to return by. But that's what they'll say. But it is ridiculous injury reporting. The fact that they listed Terry Rozier doubtful for 2 weeks, the fact that they listed Cody Martin doubtful for 2 weeks, one bloke returned, the other guy got surgery, is stupid. The LaMelo Ball non-updates is ridiculous. The reason will be we don't want to put pressure on our players, and it's ridiculous. How is Philly only 4-point favorites? It's a really good point. I get Melton is important for sure, but 4 points at home against the Kings, surely, like surely they can do that. Surely they can win that. Surely. By more than 4. I hope so. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Jeremy Grant, Josh Hart, and Simons. Yeah, that's it. Everyone hit game winners apart from Lillard. Is Looney a streamer for tonight? Yeah, look, anyone who's a starter who might play 25 to 27 minutes on a 5-game day has value, and Looney can do that. Carlo, can I ask you a question? I know I'm going to answer this question before you answer me, but answer me this. Do you have Jordan Goodwin on your team? All right, simple question. Carlo Anuling, do you have Jordan Goodwin on your fantasy team? That's the question I want to ask you, and then I'll get back to that and answer that in a second. Okay, looking for any more news. I'm going to answer that question in a sec. Daniel House out today, by the way. Melton out. House out with a foot laceration. That must be pretty rough to miss multiple games. It must be a deep-ass cut. Again, Carlo, do you have him on your team? Just want to test something. You do. I knew you did. Because that is the standard thing. If you do have Jordan Goodwin on a team. So you're saying, can he get value when these guys are back? Almost definitely not. Monty Morris, he might only be a 25-minute-a-night player. Bradley Beal, he's a 37-minute-a-night player. You got Delon Wright eventually coming back. So Jordan Goodwin's been really good. But he's a two-way rookie. All right, I think he can be streamed in. But literally 2 games ago, we saw him play 13 minutes. He's been really good the last 4 games ago. Last 3 games, 30-plus minutes, really good. Really, really good. And I think he can be a 20-minute-a-night player, and he should be. But when Wright, Morris, and Beal all play, I can't see him having 12-team value. I just can't see how that works. So it is a common thing. It is a common thing that when you have these waiver wire guys that you found out of nowhere that are putting up this value, that you desperately want to find any angle you can find to see them maintain that value. But realistically, I don't see how that happens unless other injuries come up. Aaron asked, did I get an L on the SB Lobsters? Of course I did. I've been waiting for a pair of lobsters for so long, since they announced that picture of that like about 12 months ago. And of course, I got an L everywhere. Now I'm waiting for the L's on the SB Dunk eBays, which I'm sure I'm going to cop millions of as well. Is John Conchar a must-roster player? Probably. Yeah, I think he is. But it's only short term. Any update on that De'Aaron Fox situation? No. It's curious. They will. I'm pretty sure they will update that. But again, don't make any stupid moves based on it. But it just, teams sometimes just submit the wrong forms or they click the wrong name. Because I don't know how it works. I need to find someone on a team I can talk to when they submit these. I wonder if it's like a web form where there's like a drop-down list of names and De'Aaron and Davion, maybe they selected the wrong one, or did they just submit yesterday's lineup? I'd love to know how they do it Because there is a digital form for them to submit these lineups through. I really wonder how it gets done. Because there are quite a few errors on them. Yes, Angelo, I know they announced Fox is playing tonight, but what I am saying is on the official NBA lineup submission, they submitted that Davion Mitchell is starting. All right, I don't know what that means. They could have submitted the wrong form, but what was submitted to the NBA on their official news feed of lineups that they officially have to submit, they submitted that Davion Mitchell is starting. Now, they might see that and correct it and put the right one through, but that is what this is telling you. That the news feed, the information feed, the data feed says Mitchell is still starting today. I don't believe that will be the case. And I do believe that Fox is going to play and start, but it is always curious when that happens. Sometimes when that happens, it's an indicator of a last-minute scratch or change. And often that'll happen. Sometimes it's someone screwed up and put the wrong name in there. But we always have to have it in our head like, let's watch that one. All right? We need to be careful. I am 99% certain that Fox is going to be starting. But that little bit of information there means I can't rule that out. The new Michael Jordan trophy is uglier than the previous trophy, yes? I think so. I think it'll grow on us, but yeah. Do I like the under on Steph Curry's points? Is it 28.5? Good question. Let me go and have a look. Because I don't know what my daily projections have. He's in a bit of a slight slump, Steph. It's not a huge slump. He's in a slight slump. I don't know what I've got him projected at points-wise at the moment. Over the last 2 weeks, Steph's the 24th ranked player per game in category leagues. It's a slight slump. If my screen would ever load up. Sorry, I am going to answer this Steph question. It's just taking forever for it to open up. Come on. Here we go. Steph, I've got him at, holy shit, 28.6 I've been projected at today. So that would be a massive stay away for me. JJJ says, when I mention top 50 players, top 70 players, what do you mean? I love these questions. Where do you find these rankings that you refer to? JJJ, remember at the start of every single show when I say my name? My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at Basketball Monster. It's a Basketball Monster. That's what Basketball Monster does. We have projections, fantasy tools, and rankings. So that is where I get the rankings from. Now, I use a slightly modified form of 9-cat rankings because I like to ignore turnovers because it skews value and makes you think that players are way more valuable than they are. I also downweight the low volume, highly variable stats like blocks and steals because someone who's putting up gigantic steal numbers will push them to be like a top 10 player. And you go, this is stupid. And then they have one steal less over a week and they drop 40 spots. So I do downweight the weightings on those. So I have sort of a custom formula that I use to provide these numbers. But you can find fantasy ranks at basketballmonster.com. Fultz or Suggs for the season, Thomas, I have no idea. I cannot grasp what they're going to do there. And I think, and I said this earlier today, that Anthony and Fultz and Suggs will all be around the same area. And there'll be periods where Suggs is ahead and periods where Fultz is ahead and periods where Anthony is ahead. And it might literally change on a game-by-game basis. I think whichever one you take, you're going to be wrong. Literally, you'll be wrong with it. And then you'll be right with it. And then you'll be wrong with it. And then you'll be right with it. Who would I lean towards? Well, the bloke who's not playing is Suggs. So I just, the guys who are actually playing are giving me value. So I'd probably take Fultz over him. But at the moment, like Fultz is going to give me more assists and steals, whereas Cole Anthony is going to give me more points and threes. And I'll just use that to differentiate between these two. And then it's going to get way worse when Suggs and Harris comes back. It's going to be bad. They're saying the Mike and most improved will be named for Giannis once he retires. Yeah, but I don't have to wait 40 years until after he retires to name it for him. Do I think Basketball Monster will ever create a platform to play fantasy? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's really in Ken, who owns the site. I don't think it's in his interest. I don't think he's really interested in doing that, to be honest. But who knows? Did I watch White Lotus? No, I haven't watched any White Lotus, and I do need to, yes. Is Wendell still a top 80 points league player when he comes back? I believe that when he comes back, his value will be sort of what it was beforehand anyway. So yes, if he was top 80 in your format, then when he returns, I think he'll still be top 80. I traded Bowl for Kawhi in a 12-team points league. Is that worth the risk? I think so, yeah. I think Bowl's value is going to drop, and I think Kawhi's value is going to improve. And I think that's pretty good. New Orleans 2-point favorites to beat Utah. Yeah, that is a weird one. But I guess they're on the road. Utah's a solid team and out at altitude. I think that New Orleans covers it. Actually, the odds I saw was -1.5. So I actually think, New Orleans can cover that. If Eric Gordon is traded, who benefits? I think almost undoubtedly they'll put KJ Martin in there, but it'll impact both of them. They'll both improve. But you also have to remember, with any trade, usually something comes back. That's how the NBA works because you've got to salary match stuff. So Eric Gordon can get traded. Now, I highly doubt that they would bring somebody back in the same position to play or cut into Eason and Martin, but they could. Or Martin could also be part of a Gordon trade to bring back a bigger return. So I think in a lot of cases, and this is something that I'm generally pretty consistent on, is that if you try and make a bunch of moves based on potential trades, you will screw up. It just won't work for you the vast, vast majority of time. The number of trades that we hear that never happen. Eric Gordon's been traded for 3 years, so is Miles Turner, so is John Collins. And where are they now? On their same bloody teams. And you make these moves waiting for these things to happen. And then it happens, and then somebody comes back who plays the same position. Or, we love the opportunity. Like last season, Şengün, just wait till Wood gets traded. All right, never happened. I love the opportunity for Eason, and he's providing sort of back-end value anyway, like 14-team league value now. And there is a chance for more, but it might not happen until March or February at all. And even if it does, maybe then Tate and Martin just take those minutes. So planning so much based on hypothetical trades, you will get it wrong. I'll make up a number like 90% of the time, I think. It's just such a hard way to prepare what you're doing on your fantasy team. Would I ever play a 2-cat double-double, triple-double league? What do you reckon, Wiz? Of course not. Jesus Christ. Is Tyus Jones a pick-up for 12-team head-to-head? I talked about this quite a bit yesterday, Antonio. I think it was a good discussion that I had with myself. Saying that Tyus is like 180th for the season. But we know that Jar has injuries pop up all the time. And when Jar is out, Tyus is top 100. Now, you've got to be in a relatively strong position, probably top 3, top 4, to hold him. If you're in a weekly league or a Roto Games Cup league, yes, he's guaranteed a must-roster player. But you've got to be aware that in a 12-team category, if you're like 8th in the standings in a 12-team head-to-head category league, that having someone like Tyus who's not giving you even top 160 value most of the time, it's probably going to be hard to deal with. But the upside is so high that if you're in a situation where you're right at the top of the standings, having Tyus there to plug in, and then if something happened and Jar is out fantasy playoffs, then you're set. So it is going to be situation dependent. Like think of it more as a luxury stash. Hot dogs or meat pies? Ooh, okay. I think if we're just talking standard stuff, I like a hot dog over a meat pie, but a good meat pie beats a good hot dog. 4-20, it's okay. If I'm at the footy, Don hot dog, 4-20 meat pie, I'll take the hot dog. Actually, I'll take both, but I'll take the hot dog if I had to choose one. But give me like a really top-end pie from an award-winning local bakery over a hot dog and clearly a meat pie there. What do you think, Thomas? How good was Andor? You know what, Adam? I haven't seen it yet. I just can't get into pushing play to watch it. I don't know. It's annoying. Do I think Pirtle will get traded? Honestly, no idea. No, I don't. The Spurs seem to be asking too much in a trade. I think he's a really good player. Again, if you just default to do you think X player will be traded, you will be right vast majority of the time. He could come back to Toronto, maybe. But again, wasting energy on speculations of this is pretty tough. Because you're just going to get it wrong so many times. We still don't have any more information on lineups. The Kings one still frustrating us. They haven't updated that, I don't believe. Let me double check. Nope, they're still listing Mitchell as a starter. I don't think that's the case, but just be aware. Javon Carter's a great stream for today. Who else is a pretty good stream for today? Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, good values for today. The Suns are actually going to start Dario Saric. It was so disgusting last game. Torrey Craig's a pretty good stream for today. Grayson Allen's a good stream for today. Hopefully the Magic takes Scoot Henderson so they have 700 point guards. The other thing they could do, Clarence, is take Wembanyama so they have 700 centers and forwards. What position don't they have? They probably need like a shooting guard. That's probably what they need. But yeah. I know US don't have meat pies. You're missing out. Have I ever visited New Zealand? Ages ago. Is Keegan Murray a good stream? Will his return of Fox, is he screwed? I think the Fox absence has helped Keegan. I don't know if he's screwed. I think he's worth seeing what we get from him. But his last 2 games have been his best games, and it's been without Fox. So that is worth mentioning. And a lot of the thing we talked about with Keegan in the offseason and preseason is that a lot of his value, summer league and college, was done being a high-level usage option. And then I would wonder, where is he going to fit as, at best, the 3rd guy, maybe the 4th offensive guy? And now he's actually been like the 5th guy a lot of the time. And having that boost there with Fox out helped him. So if he goes back to the 4th or 5th offensive option, does he struggle again? We have to watch that. I think he's worth having a look and seeing what happens, but I am a little cautious of it. Multiple people ask this. It's interesting. Is Josh Hart a sell high now that Gary Payton is back? Did something happen? I thought the news on Gary Payton was he was still a while away. Did something happen with Gary Payton that I missed? Is he back? Why is Gary Payton back? Where are we hearing this? I must have missed something. I'm pretty sure he's not back. Anyway, no. Josh Hart is a significantly better player than Gary Payton, in my opinion. I don't think this is going to mean Josh Hart loses a ton. I think it means that lower minutes for guys like Shaden Sharp, Justice Winslow, those sort of players. I'm not panicking on... Look, is anyone actually going to give you anything good for Josh Hart? He's not even rostered in 80% of leagues yet. So I don't really think people are going to believe in that. Yeah, no, there's no update here on Gary Payton. He's not back at all. He's still 1 to 2 weeks away. Šarić was decent last game. Was he? Sometimes I get what game is what confused. Let's have a look. What did Šarić do last game? I thought he was bad. Let me double check that. Because I honestly just don't remember. Dario Šarić last game had 5 points with 3 rebounds and 3 assists. Okay. I would say that's probably not particularly good in 21 minutes. Yeah, so no. Dario Šarić has actually combined for 12 points in his last 4 games. Yeah, so no, he wasn't good. Should you sit Najee Marshall for Herb Jones? Yeah, I wouldn't bother running through with Najee Marshall. Do I have no Trey Murphy thoughts? I literally talked about Trey Murphy already, multiple times. But you must be new in here, Kirill. You didn't see the start of the show. I think we hold Trey Murphy. There's a chance for 27 minutes even when the team gets healthy, but we just want to see what happens. They've barely been healthy all season to see how it works. So Trey Murphy's a must-roster player. He's a must-hold player. And then we assess it once Ingram comes back and we see how it looks. If he plays 20 minutes a night, then he's not a must-hold player. But we don't know that yet, so we hold him and we go from there. At what point is it bad to have too many players on the same team? I currently have 4 Wizards. I think 3 is probably my limit. I don't hate 4. You can get away with it, but it's probably one too many. Aaron Jones says, I remember you saying a couple of weeks ago that matchups don't matter for players, yet we saw a stinker from Halliburton against a good defensive unit of the Heat yesterday. Can you elaborate on this? Yes, I can elaborate on it. What I was saying is that did happen, right? But you will also see plenty of guys light it up against the Heat. What I'm saying is that when you're trying to look at things individually, what's more important is pace versus defensive value. There are certain things there, but when you tie yourself up in knots about who are going to start and sit versus these things, like what could you have done there? Would you literally, for Halliburton playing against the Heat, if you're in like a roto format, would you have gone, I'm going to bench him because he's playing the Heat? No. So then what's the point of digging into that matchup to look at something like that? Right? It doesn't actually change that much. And there are plenty of players who have had big games against the Heat this season. In general, they're a slower paced team, which does reduce everyone's overall fantasy output. And that's what's important if you are in a low paced situation. But those individual matchups, it's like the situation where I can't roster this guy because he's going up against Jokic, because he's going to get fouled out trying to defend him. And then, it goes off for a big game. Like, you twist yourself into these matchup decisions that I think the energy that you expend into looking that stuff up when a lot of the time it becomes a 50-50 call isn't worth it. In the end, that sort of stuff evens itself out. Like, that was a bad game from Halliburton, but we also saw Andrew Nembhard scored 18 points against that same Heat defense. So, like, which one is it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can make the argument that Nembhard killed him, scored 18. Buddy Hield had a pretty good game. Or you could say that Mathurin and Halliburton sucked because they were against the good Heat defense. Like, it's really hard to use that as something that you really dig deep into because it seems to go all over the place. We haven't got any update yet on De'Aaron Fox and that starting thing. I am certain that De'Aaron Fox is starting, but they have not given us that update. I'll stay on here just so we can hear a little bit more. Hopefully I'll get some more information on it. I'll stay on for a couple more minutes. But I haven't got an update on it yet. How concerned are we about OG and Porzingis? OG I'm a little bit concerned about. Porzingis not really. Is Larry Nance screwed that Herb Jones is back? Larry Nance, I think, has absolutely no... Jones has no impact on Nance, I don't think, at all. If free throws are boring, what's the alternative? I don't know. Like, I haven't actually sat down and tried to figure out ways to improve it. All I'm saying is that watching free throws is boring. And I don't like the way that end games become free throw contests. And I would assume that most people watching basketball would say, yeah, it's pretty boring. Like, that's not a fun way with constant stoppages and go to the line. Like, it's pretty boring. I don't know what the alternative is, but I think it's pretty boring. Do I think Sohan is a good play? Yes. What ranking range do I expect him to finish in? Not top 130. Probably like 150, 170, improving as the season goes along. Steven Silas is back with the Rockets already. That was fast. I'm not getting any update on this Kings thing. NBA hasn't put anything through to change that. Expect Fox to start, though. I'm telling you, expect him to start. Expect Fox to start, but don't be shocked if some bullshit comes out. But expect him to start. I think this is just a huge error, and no one has corrected it. Unfortunately. All right. I am going to head out now. I got to go and work over at Basketball Monster and do a bunch of stuff there. I will see you guys later. Hit a thumbs up. There is a What to Watch For show that's premiering now. Go find that. I'll see you guys later. Bye.